Hi guys, welcome to the results for August's movie challenge. Now, this may be, I've got some sad news actually. This might be the last movie challenge we run as part of Composer Club because senior management wants to go away from the challenges. But I may have some news at the end of it. I just spoke to our Andrei Lubimstev, who will be joining us as a judge, and he's starting a little group just for challenges, which I'm pleased to hear about. So, Andrei, maybe you can post a link to your group because it'll be sad to see these challenges go. Andrei, tell us a bit about yourself. Do a little intro.
Hi everyone, Andrei Lubimtsev. Yes, by the way, good pronunciation. I'm the founder, one of the founders, two founders of the Musical Arts Center in Pennsylvania here in the United States, and I'm a composer, not by education. By education, I'm actually a teacher, piano teacher, but a composer as I do it for since very early ages. Love it and enjoy all the challenges times in the group. So this is one of my favorite challenges along the line with Brian's Dice Challenge and some other challenges that. And therefore, yes, I wanted to continue challenges. I think it's very, very good for everyone who participates.
So you've participated yourself, and you were actually the winner in the last competition. And when I asked you to be our mystery guest judge, I was delighted. I mean, to be honest, we hear quite a few different pieces from people, and some people just stand out from the rest. So honestly, it's a complete honor to have you here, and I'm glad. I'm really glad, excited.
Thank you.
That you're
Appreciate
Facebook
this.
group. What's the name of the Facebook group?
It's called Composer Challenges.
Challenges.
It's called Composer Challenges
by Andrei. Okay, brilliant. I'll be joining that. So, okay, so
Wonderful.
away we go. So, guys, the way we found to judge, or we're not really judging. We're just trying to mark these and grade these so we can compare one or another. But the first category is we rate it against is composition. The second is production. The third is the interest, is the viewer interested, the listener. And number four is the character. Have you done what the question asked, which is, in this case, do a theme for Jack Sparrow? That's right. So, right, what we're going to do, Andrei, is we're going to press play at the same time.
That's right.
And then we're going to hear it. So,
That's right.
So I'll count you down. So let me click on the YouTube link. I'll press pause, and I'll get my headset now. And it's 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, Andre, you done? So
Yes.
brilliant. So that was from, I forgot to introduce it. So that was from Claude Caron. He's actually had 118 views already, which is quite impressive. So he's been sharing it like mad. He's had a couple of comments and people like it. Right. So the way we'll do it is I'll let you start. Composition. What do you reckon? Any comments and what do you
Yes,
rate it?
I would rate. Well, first of all, we're gonna do the same, right? From to
Yes.
10. 10
Yes.
points. Okay.
Yes.
I give Claude 7.
Oh.
I like the theme, but it's not really developed enough. The form is 2 verses, bridge, and then the third verse again, and it seems to very good traditional form, and it's fine. The only thing I can tell that the bridges, well, except bridge, the verses sounding the same.
Yeah.
And that would be really great to have development. Also, he did create the tension at the very end. Nice piano playing. He created tension at the very end, but it resolved in kind of hanging soft chord without basically tension, without resolution. Therefore, I took 3 points off just because of that.
Okay. Okay, excellent. So I actually marked it a 7 out of 10 as well, probably for slightly different reasons. I mean, you're a detailed teacher, right? So you speak a different lingo than me. So I'm going to do it from a listener's point of view. Solo piano, great. I'm not usually a fan of solo piano. I always think when you do a solo piano, it can. I know we're going over the interest side, but I think it can. It always feels to me like it's missing something, another instrument, and that's my personal preference. I think solo with a cello, piano with a cello go really well, but it felt like it was missing something. The composition as a piece was nice.
Right.
It was a warm tune. It was a nice rhythm. It had a slight, well, it had a jazzy feel to it. And you know, I actually got. It reminded me more of you know, Shrek, the film Shrek, and they have a piano scene in the bar where they've got the villains all there. It kind of reminded me. That's what I pictured in my head. Not so much Jack Sparrow, but maybe I could see Jack Sparrow in that bar, enjoying sitting that piano. Yeah. So as a solo piece, piano piece, it was good. But I'm composition wise, my personal preference is it could have been jazzed up a bit or beefed up a bit rather with another instrument, whether it. That's
for sure. That's for sure. But even if, for example, he has no libraries and no capabilities of making this as an orchestration or sound like a band, you still should compose composition. The composition means that you compose this into the form with some development in it.
Right.
And it has lack of it.
Yes.
It's overall very nice playing, good idea. I like the theme itself.
Yeah.
And it could be actually as well Jack Sparrow if it was developed properly.
Yes. So, okay, can we expand on that? Let's go deeper, because you know what you mean when you're saying development. And if we listen to it slightly in pieces again, and I'll put my headphones, my volume up so that we can. So it starts off like this. So that, as far as composition, would you add any to that? But it's good intro.
The intro is fine, but then you need to make it softer and have it as change dynamics. It has to be the introduction was intense already.
Right. So
And then from that point, intensity never changed.
So okay, I hear you. So I'm gonna play. That was up to 22 seconds. I'm gonna start it from 50 seconds and see how it goes. You're right. It's the same.
Yep.
Now I get it. It seems like it's not taking us. Yeah, the intensity is straight. It's like you're rowing on a boat.
Yes,
and it's
he had that tension after the break. I mean, at the very end when he stopped and had that roll a little bit, that was like creating tension. And I thought, well, good. Now it's going to be resolution. And suddenly it's
dies. Okay, let's
like
hear that.
high note and whole sustain. It's sustained. It's like no, it's not the proper resolution after that creation. Tense. Very soft.
Yeah. Let's hear that. Yeah. So you would recommend to resolve that tension?
Right.
Expand on that.
Strong short ending. It has to be like staccatish or marcatish. Just bam, because it bam. But it was
gotcha. I love it. Thanks, Andre. This is brilliant. See, okay. So next part was production.
Well, production. I'm with you since it's also piano. He played well, but if it's and as I mentioned in the composition. In production, even if it's only one instrument, which is already diminishing overall, production still means that you need to get quality of fundamentals in a musical side and recording side. Record MIDI piano is not that hard, but the dynamics, it's not shown at all like as flat, straight flat sound. So therefore, I'm really taking 4 points out of the production because it's excellent, very easy production for piano. But for that matter, if you have one instrument, make it full and contrast and dynamics. There has to be even greater responsibility for this for production.
So
that's my point.
6 out of 10, right?
6, yes, yeah.
So I agree with you. I gave it a 7 out of 10. What happened is I actually thought that there were some notes that were played. They were almost. I remember listening to parts which were fairly quiet, but it felt like there was interference happening with some of the keys. So you want to get rid of that and clean the sound out.
That's right. And it sounds like it sounds more improvisational.
Yeah, exactly. More improv. Okay, so he's got 13 out of 10 for that and 14 out of 10 for the first one. 20 rather. Interest. How would you mark it?
I actually mark it as 8. I actually when it started, since I like the theme, I'm thinking, well, now it's going to be some changes. I expect some progression, some changes that may occur, and therefore I was listening with interest until after the bridge he returned to the same verse, and then I lost interest because I realized, well, nothing's going to happen.
Okay.
So then I live 8.
Yeah.
Because I was actually I like the theme. I listened, enjoy it, and that return to the third verse without any changes. I realized, well, you can turn it. I could turn it off.
Yeah.
So basically,
sure.
That's my point.
You were more generous than me in the interest side. I actually gave it 6 out of 10. the main reason really was, I think it's really hard to. You have to have a really interesting melody in order if you're just going to go for a solo piece, right? Because you've only got one instrument. Now, interestingly, he is actually doing a lot. He is doing a lot, but the melody isn't. To me, it's not. It's got that jazzy feel, which is great. It's exciting, but it's not. It's very difficult to pinpoint this. Is it telling me a story? Is it taking me on a journey? Is it, all this part of the stuff is going to add interest. Was there more tension and less tension? And I think all those things could be looked at. And
Right.
As a piece, it was great, but it could be more interesting, much more interesting. And I think if he plays around, like you said, with the dynamics of the piece, if he plays around with
Form.
and more of maybe a different part of the melody, it's difficult for me hearing the main melody to the background as well. They're kind of the same. I mean, he's a great pianist, but it's like, what's the main melody? I think interest-wise, yeah, 6 out of 10. I'm down.
Okay.
I think you can do better there. Character-wise, what did you think, Andre?
Well, actually, character-wise, I give him 9. I take
wow.
him 1 point off. Yes, I think it would be wonderful Jack Sparrow if all the previous topics that we discussed were improved. You wouldn't. I wouldn't say that it could be Shrek, yes, but it could be Jack Sparrow. It's how you place that idea into the composition as arrangement, into the production as an instrumentation, orchestration. So it could be very well as well Jack Sparrow.
As it was, as you listened to it. Did you hear Jack Sparrow?
Yes, it was.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Okay. So 9 out of 10. That's a great mark. I didn't. I couldn't get away from the whole Jack, the Shrek piano, and I tried hard to hear Jack Sparrow. Now, I don't know. Maybe it's the solo piano. With Jack. It could just be that. So I marked it. I gave you a 7, Claude. So the total is, hang on, let's see. 16 out of 20. So we've got, let me get my calculator out. Because, of course, we don't know how to add anymore. So we've got 14 plus 13 plus 14 plus 16. So 57 out of 2468. 57 out of 80. Great score.
Okay.
That's a great score.
Sounds good.
Right. The next one we have is Florent Einardi. I think that's how you pronounce it. So
I would say.
Let's get ready to click play on 3, 2, 1, go. Interesting. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Composition.
Composition, I give him 9.
Wow.
And I like the fact that Florent, right?
Yes.
Yes, I like the fact that Florent built the composition with the idea of showing different side of Jack Sparrow, and as a trickster, as a human, as a fighter. You can even see on the video that he added those images.
Yeah.
But I take the point off because there is no leitmotif.
Mm-hmm.
It's as if there are 3 different characters in general, it's not Jack Sparrow, it's 3 different people. You wanted to continue to keep the leitmotif, meaning the same kind of melody, and appears in all characters. Yeah. Only you use music as the arranged it that way to represent the different side of the character, but with the same musical theme. And it didn't happen here. So I take only 1 point off. Overall, I like the idea and how it's obviously he worked on the arrangement well. So that's my point.
Yeah, I think that's very generous. More generous than me. I gave him a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
It did feel like there were 3 melodies which were not related, not very related. I couldn't feel that interlinking, like you said, the leitmotif. It felt like he had 3 separate ideas, 3 characteristics of the same, and they could have been 3 different people.
That's true.
And then he merged it into one longer melody. It's not like it doesn't go at all, because they do flow from one to another. I thought the first 50 seconds, I'm going to break it down a bit, I thought were interesting because it felt, I'm just going to replay that part. Great, and that was a strong start. And then I was kind of waiting for something to happen.
Right.
But, and then he does it again for a second loop. I think at 25 seconds, that would have been enough for that start, and then he should have developed it further. What he did is he repeated it, and then suddenly you've got a 50-second piece, and you're losing interest from the listener because you're expecting. It's like, what am I? Go on, tell me. You've got my attention now, because it was a. I thought rhythmically, it had everything there. You could hear the individual instruments. I think that is what let him down there as well, because he did that. He overused that, and it felt like each instrument was played separately, and there was no connection between them all. Now, I did notice from his sample library that his strings didn't sound as strong. So I'm not sure if that's what you're avoiding, in which case I'll say, look, Florent, if you feel that if you're not confident in using your strings, just invest in a better library. And it doesn't cost too much if you go for East-West Composer Cloud.
Right.
It's like 30 quid a month, and you can pay when you use it. So you don't have to pay 30 quid every month. You can just stop it, use it for this tune. If you're not going to, right? So it won't cost you the earth. But that's how I felt on the composition. And I mean, 7 out of 10. Oops,
Bless you.
somebody's sneezing outside. I think they the three melodies and one. I honestly think that I would have dropped another point, but I'm gonna go with 7 out of 10. Yeah, 7 out of 10. I think it's always going to be difficult because we're comparing it to. I mean, Hans Zimmer did this right brilliantly.
That's right. Yes.
So
yes.
it's always, this is the thing, right? It's like, oh, we're comparing it
But
to
that's the goal.
to God.
That's the goal to
Yeah.
achieve this
Yeah.
kind of quality. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Right.
agree with you
Yeah.
that it was not developed, but that he started. It's really good trickster idea.
Yeah.
He started with really
Yeah.
sudden interesting patterns and was not developed. He moved to different theme instead. Started totally new theme, which is love side of this, human side of Jack Sparrow, which most probably wouldn't have to be there at all.
Yeah, and I think it maybe is because of the quality of the sample library. So he's probably using what he has that's good. Just invest, Florent. Don't worry about it. We're not going to take the money with us. This is music. Get the best that you can. Production-wise, how did you feel?
Well, production, I give him 8 because the sounds. You're absolutely correct. I enjoy that he did work on orchestration quite. He developed this. A lot of work obviously was done to create this 2 minute 12 seconds with all kind of sounds and orchestration, but I as overall arrangement itself and the sound in it's not it could be much better, so I can take 2 points off. Production is site that you wanted to make sound professional as possible, and I'm taking 2 points off. It was not the sound that I wanted to hear.
Yeah, I was going to give it a 7 out of 10. I'm going to push it up to 8 out of 10 because, to be fair, with the instruments and the instruments he's given us are good. He's made the most out of it. I mean, you can hear each instrument, but again, because we can hear each instrument, it feels like each instrument is popping out and there's nothing connecting them. That's how it felt. I mean, if there was a string or some kind of, I guess, string or just joining the whole thing in the background, it would have had a joining effect on the whole thing and been the glue to glue to each piece in its own right. That's how I felt. So 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Which is decent result, Florent. Next one is interest.
Well, I would say I give him. I take 2 points off. Again, it's 8. He got my interest at the very beginning. That first part it was not developed, and then when he started middle section, I was waiting when this middle section will stop. I wanted to move on to something else. But the ending part, when he started fighting section, that was very interesting again. So that middle section kind of I've taken 2 points off. It would be awesome if he actually developed the first part into something more intriguing and continue with that section. That's my score, 8.
Yeah, totally with you there. I mean, it just feels like, Florent, I would even go back and have another go at just developing that first part. And, I want to know more. I want to know who that Jack Sparrow is, what's happening in his life. It feels like he's being up to his local mischievous self.
That's right.
Right? But then the next melody that you give, I'll just play it very quickly. So he starts off. This is the first melody, right? Great. And he's kind of, you can almost imagine him hiding and, taking one larger step than the other as he walks. And then it goes to this. And good transition, by the way, from one great transition.
Right. Absolutely.
But then we're in a different land.
Right.
It could be a different character altogether.
Mm-hmm. It is different character.
It is, isn't it? And I guess he's trying to show the loving side of him.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's very clear on the all the images that shows in the video.
Yeah. And then he goes back to which, and I love it when people do good percussion. He's done a good job on
right. This
there.
section is good as well. Again.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's rhythm there. There's excitement.
Right.
He's fighting. You can see it. It's good. It is good because you've given us effectively what you've done, Florent, is you've given us 3 pieces of the character, but if only there was some kind of joining leitmotif, right? So you use the same melody or with under different intensity, and you can paint the same picture, and then we know. Then see, at the moment we can't identify what tune goes with Jack Sparrow, what melody goes with him. What you've done is you've done probably, I don't know if he's done film scoring, but for a neutral film score, setting a scene, this would go well. But to identify one character with it, it's harder. It makes the audience work harder. By the end of this, we won't be able to identify those themes with Jack Sparrow. Mm-hmm. And that's what the greats do. They create a theme with a character so that when you hear it, Darth Vader, Superman, whoever it is,
right.
You know when they're on the set immediately.
That's what leitmotif is. So it's
yes,
that's
right?
what
so,
the idea is.
By definition,
to
So interest-wise, I gave you an 8 out of 10. So in total, you get 16 out of 20 there. Lastly, we've got the character.
Well, I actually give him character. I give him 9. I will be. It could be less than that, but I give him 9 because the very beginning captivated mischief, the trickster. That was perfect. He just stepped away from it and returned to the fighter with another different theme. It's still Jack Sparrow. The middle section ruined that character. There's it's not Jack Sparrow. Beside the leitmotif, but I did see Jack Sparrow for sure.
Yeah, even in the middle section. No, first.
No, not the middle section. Not the middle. Okay. That's why I've taken this one part, point
9
off.
9 out of 10 is generous. I gave him a 7 out of 10 for that. I think you certainly know how to make melodies. You've shown us that. But the challenge here is consistent melodies, consistent character throughout. So I would say, did I hear Jack Sparrow? Yes, but I have to agree with Andre. I heard him in the first and the third. So I'm going to give you 7 out of 10 and knock 30% off. In your favor. So let's do the maths. Well, it's
turn on the calculator.
Yeah, 64 out of 80. So far, Florent, you're in first position, and 57 out of 80 for Claude. Right, not too many entries. This, I think people would have gone on holiday. So I can only see 4, right? 4 entries. The next one is Jaco. Yes, Jaco Hubert, or Jaco Hubert, and he's on SoundCloud. Oh, right. Let's. Oh, okay. SoundCloud doesn't let you. Well, my one doesn't. I've just got the web thing, and it doesn't let you go. As soon as you try and go to the back, it starts playing it, right? Or the front, rather. It starts playing.
Right.
So we'll count each other in. Have you got the SoundCloud?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You're ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. All done?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I would say I like the fact that he tried to develop the composition. He started with simple theme. He did create a little tension, start getting more dynamics added to it. But melodically, composition is a little dull, repetitious, monotonic. That's kind of sense that I got from the whole composition. So I kind of take down 3 points. In my opinion, it will be 7 points for the composition itself. The development was not going further to make it less dull, less repetitious. So therefore, 3 points off the.
Okay. I thought actually I remember hearing Jako's previous composition. I think he's improved.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think composition-wise, I think there's a lot happening with it. You're not afraid to use the sample libraries that you've got, and every instrument. The composition-wise, I think it's a really interesting. I know this is going on to number 2, but the thing that's let you down is the quality of the sample libraries again. So because it's really difficult getting past the synth, in the keys. The strings. It's very church organ-y type. So I think it would be really interesting to hear this same tune. I think his compositions would improve massively if he has a better sample libraries, because then he would be able to give each. He would change them slightly to match the instruments he has, and I think that's his weakness. Jako, we said it last time. I think, take the plunge. It's 30 quid. Just take a punt on yourself. Trying the better compositions. And if you're worried about having to get a bigger PC to be able to support the thing, you don't need to do that. You can freeze tracks. So you can literally do each instrument, freeze the track, and then do the next instrument. And you know what? You must have what, 30 to 60 instruments there?
Yes, it
Right?
was full sound, a lot of
Full
sounds in it.
yeah. So I was quite impressed. And composition-wise, there was a lot happening. Do I remember the melody? I would have to play it again. I find it really difficult getting past these kind of sample libraries. I'm a sucker for decent quality, and it doesn't cost much. So, but anyway, I gave you an 8 out of 10 because I thought you did really well, Jaco, in terms of there's a lot happening there, and it doesn't sound like a horrible noise, right? Usually, if I did what you were trying to do, it would just, all the instruments would just meld, all the sound frequencies would meld, and you'd just hear this horrible noise. It would be like a grey mush, but you haven't done that. So really, really well done on that. So 8 out of 10 from me. Andre, you gave it 7 out of 10, so he's got 15 out of 20 there. Production-wise.
Well, the production-wise, I'm happy to hear the orchestration. Obviously, improvements there, as you said. But I'm taking 3 points off due to lack of balance, clarity, frequency separation, and instrument placement on the orchestration. That overall 3 points off because of that.
Okay. Are there any specific parts that we can maybe advise him on and say, hey, this is where we're talking about?
Well, you can say it's almost for the entire piece.
Okay.
The very beginning a little more clear, but it's short. Once it's just repetitive note goes started with this, and that is obviously quite clear. But as soon as the more instruments added to the orchestration, that's it. The clarity completely is gone throughout the entire.
Okay. That means I must have missed it. Let me hear it, because again. Here. I always find these libraries very hard to judge, and unfortunately I'm going to mark them down based on the quality of the library, because I think that I haven't worked with these, and so I don't know how challenging it is, but when you use better libraries, then you can hear them better. I don't hear the... Are you saying, because you might have used these, so you're saying he could have it clearer than this?
Well, even with the not so good libraries, you still can make the sounding clear. Productions mean that you actually utilize EQs. For example, you have variety of instruments within the same frequency range.
Yeah.
You just need to separate. Okay, I will cut off some of the frequencies of, we'll say, violin, and add those frequencies to brass section. So the frequency separation of the instrument is will bring some clarity. As a matter of fact, there's plenty of YouTube videos that explain always in details how to deal with that. Even with the not as powerful and not so good libraries, people do that. You can create clear and well done.
You see, to my ears, it didn't sound so muddy. Let me. I hear where. Do you know what's happened? I know what's happened. You know the last one we heard.
Yeah.
So he did the opposite of this, where you could hear each instrument, and each instrument was very clear. So was it Florent or was it?
Yeah, it was Florent. Yeah.
It was Florent, right? So so now, because I was like expecting to hear it mished, and I was saying, and I'm like, yeah, he's got it. He's got what I was. But now on the flip side of that, it's too muddy. It just goes to show that our pieces are all relative, depending on what we play before or after them.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Okay, so right, I marked it actually. Production quality, I marked it 6 out of 10. Jaakko, due to the libraries, and I think that you did a good job at mixing them. I do agree. If Andre can hear that, then there's probably too much interference on those frequencies. So it's just about being able to see where is it to when you add another instrument. Is it, what's the net effect on the overall piece? Right?
When I mentioned placement of instrument as well, this is also a clash. If you have separate stereo and have everyone, will say one side on to 3 o'clock, another to 9 o'clock, and all the instrument clashes in the same range. So that's why the spreading of instrument to a little bit further to the left and then a little bit closer to the center, all the instrument goes placed in the relation to this 180 degrees of stereophonia. So therefore, that could get better effect as well. The clash coming from variety of sources.
Yeah.
Placement of instruments, frequency response, the balance of instruments. That's basically the fundamental problem of this production for this music.
I hear what you're saying now. Okay, so total 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 out of 20. Interest.
Well, okay, I take 3 points off again because of the repetitiveness. I lost the interest halfway through. 7 points.
Okay. Halfway through, so let's play this part, right? And then he dies out. Yeah, I'm gonna have to match that. 7 out of 10. I had actually given it an 8 out of 10, but yeah, the interest. 14 out of 20 there. Yeah, the interest exactly halfway point. The drums are pounding, but the melody is dying off. It's difficult hearing the melody, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult hearing it. I mean, it's because the drums are so loud.
That's a balance.
That's the balance. That's the balance. I see. Okay. So, okay. And finally, character.
Okay, on character, I will stick to the same number, 7. I don't think that Jaakko had the character shown here. It's Jack Sparrow is obviously trickster with dubious morality and sobriety. It's not here. I hear the very ceremonial, regal sound. It's not Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
It could be good for a scene in the movie, but not as a leitmotif for Jack Sparrow. So it's not,
Yeah.
therefore, in my opinion, it clearly uh, was not Jack Sparrow to me.
I have to agree. I gave him a 7 out of 10. I think that's being a bit generous because, um, I mean, Hans Zimmer goes with da 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 da
Yeah,
da
it's
da
like,
da.
yeah,
Bum, bum. I mean, he does an amazing job. But instantly from that, you know, it's Jack Sparrow. From here, we
right.
don't know, Yako. We don't know. So
Yeah.
so it's just breaking down that simple melody. What do you hear? And you've taken us on a journey. You've certainly done that. But this is so it says Captain Jack Sparrow and his shipmates just stole their treasure and boarded their ship. They set sail. They set sail.
Right,
Sailed
and
away with great. It's
as
telling a
that
story.
scene, it's
Yeah.
probably okay.
Yes.
If you're talking about the scene, that's
Yes.
fine. But
Yeah.
we're talking about the character,
Yes.
and it isn't.
Exactly. So, my advice, Yako, is when you listen to Hans Zimmer's Pirates of the Caribbean, listen to other characters that he's done, not necessarily Hans Zimmer or even other whoever, I don't know, Howard Shaw or whoever else you want to listen to. Howard Shaw's probably a bad example for leitmotifs. I think he doesn't really do that many, but you know, check your movies out, and then you'll get an idea. And it's like, or when you're watching movies, just watch them and listen to the characters, and listen to how they influence. I mean, for example, Batman's a great one. When he brings the Joker out, you've got that
Right,
no melody tune, which is like that guitar, which is
right,
forever increasing tension. Right, they use that little trick where it sounds like it's constant tension
right.
rising, but instantly we know it's the Joker is on scene. So something like that, and once you get that, then it'll just be about, okay, I'm associating with this tune, this melody with this character. And it's not like, oh, I've done this melody with this character and that's it, boring. No, you can expand on that. You can have a brighter side. You can have a sadder side. You can go on a journey with that that melody. So have the way I would advise it is think of the character, write the think of their characteristics. You know, are they cheeky? Are they this? You might want to think about initially which instruments you can associate with that character. And then that's the first stage. You've got your melody sorted. And then it will be very much like, okay, let's make it darker. Let's make it brighter. Let's, you know, pretty much that's it, right?
Right,
You've
right.
got the dramatic, you've got the dark, you've got the light, or the mellow side. This is really not that much to it. And I'd recommend the Hans Zimmer course masterclass. Some people thought it was awful. I actually did it before I knew how to compose. Or I don't, before I started composing. And I thought it's really handy because he talks about actually making a theme and developing a character. So it's like £100 or something. That's one thing I'd recommend. Hans Zimmer course on masterclass. He won't teach you how to compose, but he'll teach you how to come up with a melody for a character, which I thought was good. Sorry, Andre, you're going to say something.
I wanted to actually say a good thing about Yakov's music, that he was one of the, whatever we listened today, he was only one who went outside of the diatonic chords. He introduced non-diatonic chords to his composition, the progression-wise. Most of the time, people just limited by diatonics, not leaving the key signature, just staying the same. And he did, and that was good about this composition and in general this musical piece that he wrote, which could be developed quite well.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think a lot of people might think, oh, I've made this piece and now I'm bored of it, and I want to make another piece. But what ends up happening is you end up making, you don't learn from it, you don't grow with it. I think it's an excellent practice is to go back to the same piece, go back to this piece, see what you like, and have another go, and say, hey, this is what I made. What do you guys think? Share it. So it's very much the idea is to improve. But if we're starting from a blank slate each time, it's difficult to improve. If you start with the melody and you have version 1 of it, I mean, this is what they do with Pixar, with movies. Pixar was so successful initially in their movies, and they were like, how do you guys come up with so many hits? Well, actually, we make loads of movies, but we don't send them out to the public. You never see them until we get it spot on. That's when we release them. So, and I would almost have that attitude, which is like, okay, have another go at it on the same thing. And I know it can be hard, and you can feel bored, but go with it with a fresh pair of eyes, and just say, you know what, I'm going to have another go at this. I'm going to improve on this. Mm-hmm. What can I improve? And go do your research. Listen to other people's. Listen to the greats' musics, whether it's Zimmer or whoever else you like, and then see what they're doing, and maybe you can just each time if you do that, if you just add one thing that they've done in their piece, after 20, 30 pieces, you'll have learnt 20, 30 things, which you can add to your arsenal. Okay, right. That's Yako's had a lot of time. Yako, that's because we remember you from the last one, and we want to see repeat people get extra attention. So it's encouraging people to do.
That's right.
Do more of this, right?
And the improvements are there in general. His progress of development
really
is
has.
Very clear there, which is great.
Exactly. I think that's. If we could mark that, I'd give you. If that was a category, you'd get full marks for improvement.
That's right.
So the next one. Oh, is you, Andre?
We're not gonna judge me.
Come on, we have to. Well, we have to listen to it.
We can.
So, okay, you're not allowed to judge yourself.
No.
But
I'll give myself one.
No, you can't do that either. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. Wow. Do you know what? Oh, you're an absolute master with the way you change the pace. Oh my gosh. And you slow. I don't know how you do that. How do you do that? Because, how do you do that?
How do you do what?
So you increase the the rhythm,
Tempo.
the tempo. Yeah, the tempo.
Well, I use Logic, and Logic has its auto tempo that matches what you play. So I play piece on piano, well, an electric piano right here, Yamaha Clavinova, and with MIDI connection to Logic, and I play as I play, slow or faster, and Logic matches the tempo whatever I play.
Wow.
Once I play piano part with whatever tempo I have, it will keep this tempo. Whatever I add, whatever instruments I add, I may replace piano with anything I want from that point. But tempo will be the same as I played piano. So I
Wow.
compose piece in general on piano, make this as the whole piece from very beginning to very end, and keep that tempo as I played, and then replace it with all the orchestration instruments that I need. As a result, it's moving tempo.
It's fantastic because it gives you so much freedom, right?
That's right. I for a long time I thought, how can I do that? Because I don't want to have that simple tempo all the way through. Tempo
Yeah.
changes, and it
Yeah.
has to. But drums, how do you change drums? And I found
Yeah.
this solution by simply playing piano with the auto tempo configuration. It matches it, and it's become very fluent. You can do that whatever you want from that point.
It's amazing because
Thank
that's
you.
been one of the drawbacks I've had using this software because I was like, oh, how do you do that? And I'm a Cubase user. I started off with Ableton, but then I moved on to Cubase. I'm not sure if we can do auto tempo configure. It would surprise me if we can't, but I got to check that out because that is the icing on the cake because you don't hear that. You only hear that in live,
Right.
right?
And that's what we as the computer composers, I mean
Yeah,
software composers, we wanted to make it as live as possible.
yeah,
And I always had trouble with, I cannot stand in one tempo.
yeah,
Initially I start doing this by change the tempo manually. I record everything and then start changing the tempo, and it's artificial. You can sense that it's not right.
yeah, yeah,
But going from playing live, whatever tempo I have on live performance, play piano in tempo, and computer matches it,
yeah.
that works perfectly. Now
So, so,
I'm.
so your timeline does it? The bars and everything. Have you
It's
have you got a
basically
screenshot or something? Yeah,
you can see the tempo track timing. You can see how it changes from bar to bar. It's the Logic has this option to any. You actually can place audio track into Logic and then match the tempo that of audio track is, and it will count beats of the music and separate into the bars according to the tempo it match. So, and they come up with the idea that you can play an MIDI instrument in your own tempo. It will sense the pulsation of your playing to separate into the bars accordingly.
right.
And it works perfectly. It works really well. I found it's really convenient to use. Now
Wow.
I'm using it for every piece instead of starting from, okay, I will choose this tempo. No, I don't need to choose any tempo. I just start playing on piano, the MIDI piano,
Yeah,
and place the entire composition into the one. Of course, you need to be ready. So what's my composition will be from very beginning to very end, and you must play it in tempo that you want. You can slow down or improve the entire piece, increase the tempo or decrease the tempo overall afterwards. If you, for example, you cannot play it very fast enough, you
yeah,
play slower,
yeah,
but change
yeah,
the tempo in process still.
yeah. It's and I agree with you. I couldn't possibly judge, so we will avoid that. I
Yeah.
think it's a difficult thing to do. So because it'll be unfair It will be unfair.
Of course, yes. Yeah.
On the other guys. So
Moving on.
yeah, moving on. So an excellent piece. Oh, actually, while I've got you there, I've got you here. We can ask you. So what particular? Let's break down your piece a bit further. I mean, tell us a bit about it. How do you come up with an idea? How do you decide which instruments to use? Do you use a template? The tempo side you've answered, but how do you? I mean, do you have the melody in your head initially? What's your work? How did you tackle this task?
I actually sit down at piano first, and that's always my starting point. I'm thinking, what kind of melody, what kind of sounding wanted to get, and of course it goes with the idea which chords may I use for the character I have in mind. Would it be major? Would it be minor? Would it be diminished? Would it be augmented? Would it be suspended? And that's one of the things. And according to my choosing tonality and the chords that I wanted to apply to, I started searching for melody, and melody with the chords that I have in mind. Once I started, I always think, okay, as development, I don't want to stay in the same tonality. I never stay in one tonality. I always change as progression. Either I need to go down, I need to go up, but it's always an idea. Which direction do I go? What do I want to achieve? So this guy's trickster, so it has to be some kind of melody that has the placement for this character.
Yeah.
So I tried couple melodies, and then I choose one that I prefer. And
okay, and then do you use a template?
Actually, I do have an orchestration template, but I'm not always go straight to template. I'm thinking what instruments I will be interested to use. And in this case, I started with orchestra template, but I actually replaced a lot of instruments that on my template because I wanted to have this more folk sound, because he's not aristocrat. So the full symphony orchestra is not going to do that. It has to be some folk instruments. It has to be feel of the common people. Pirates.
Did you buy a new one, or did you have one?
No, I use EEW Cloud libraries, so it's always
so many.
Yes, so many to choose from.
Yeah. Is that so? All your instruments are from East West.
Yeah.
See, there you go. So some people, when I started off in EW, I think somebody told me, they said, "Oh, don't touch that. It's not good." And I was like, "Really? It sounds pretty good to me." And I thought maybe I just can't hear it. But
well, I have more than East-West in my possession. I'm lucky because I started actually with the Vienna Symphony. That was most expensive purchase ever.
Yeah.
And I actually used less orchestra sounds from Vienna Symphony. I prefer East-West now.
Yeah,
most of the cases. But beside that, I also have Spitfire.
Which one?
The solo instruments.
All the
solo instruments. They have such a great option to choose control of the sound. I love it. Basically, I'm lucky in that sense because I spent some money to different sounding. Because after listening Paul Cassidy's orchestrations, I realized, you have to learn how to use the orchestra sound from guys like Paul and some other who do know what to do with it. And I looked through this. He used some of the libraries that I decided, well, I need to check them out. and I did purchase at least one library that he used. So I did spend some money on it, but I can tell everyone good libraries means a lot.
Yeah.
It's important to have good libraries.
It's a good investment. I mean, you make it once per library. Per library. That's why we get sucked in. So, oh, the new libraries. Oh my gosh, it's 50% off. Oh, we have to buy it, right? Oh my gosh.
Well,
So now I cut it off. I was like, no. I'm doing another project for an audiobook, in fact, because I do voiceovers as well. And I'm doing one with an author in America. It's the background story of Dracula. In fact, this is going to be the most historically correct fiction about Dracula and his family. So I will have to come up with a leitmotif for him, and it's a whole family. So I don't know the story yet, but
okay.
I'll be narrating it, and then I'll be composing.
Sounds like fun.
Oh, I love it. And this is, I mean, because what we've noticed is, so the audiobooks I'm making, they go on ACX, Audible, and which is, you know, the Amazon company. And what we're doing is we're almost turning them into mini little dramatic stories. If you add some music at the front and add sound effects where we need, and I've been using creating leitmotifs, and you only need depending on how many characters there are. Usually, I find you only need like 3 or 4 different actual pieces, and within that, if you make a 2-3 minute piece, within that you can use bits and pieces before the story to set the scene, and we're doing well sale-wise. People love it, but that's why I've come into composition from the audio side, and I already had all the equipment, and I thought, no, I've got to make music for this stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Wonderful.
And for the first time, what I'm going to be doing is doing a joint collaboration. So the lady, I'll be reading the book with a lady, and we'll be recording it. I'll be in London, and she'll be in Tucson in Arizona, in her studio.
Wonderful.
It's great. It's really
Wonderful.
exciting. Okay, so let's move on to Klaus. I think, Klaus is the last.
Right,
last
he's the
person.
last one, yeah.
So, right, let's click on it. So, okay, let me know. 3, 2, 1, play.
Well,
Whoops.
the composition is actually pretty good. It's well thought through. It started with leitmotif. The leitmotif went through it started represented with leitmotif, and it reappeared in multiple places while the development kept going. The leitmotif reappearing in multiple places. I heard it quite clearly, which is great. It's good thinking through, representing the character, sound of character through development and building up. So I think I give him 10
Oh,
out of
wow.
10. Well done.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Um, so this was, and that is it, right? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
That's right. That's right. That's a leitmotif.
That's the leitmotif. Very strong starting point. I it felt like, I don't know if this is part of the composition. It felt like some at 20 seconds that, here we go, there's 20 seconds. The timing was off. Did you hear that?
Well, the polyrhythm is fine. It's okay.
Is that the start?
I think it's okay. The polyrhythm itself, as a matter of fact, Klaus is modern composers. He tried to search for something that it's out of the traditional. He's searching, and it's different. Even though I'm very traditional composer, I prefer some of the traditional values that been, and that's why sometimes my composition call that's traditional stuff. It's nothing modern, nothing new, and I'm not claiming that modern composer. In Klaus' composition, I heard many of his compositions, and I know that he's searching. He have searching for harmonies, progressions that is outside of the box, looking for polyrhythms, which is great. It can be sometimes abrupt, sometimes what is it? But he is trying to find something of his own, which is great. I admire composers who's trying to do such things. It's okay. It's not always maybe something pleasant, maybe sometimes not that is not as acceptable but beside the point, as a composition, this composition has a lot of development, include progression changes, tonality changes, and actually even in some case even going outside of the spectrum of tonality itself, and polyrhythms a little bit there, and it can be, oh, what is it? What did I just hear? But attempt to squeeze rhythmic pattern within the frame of time signature that is not related, and it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I found challenging listening to this was the treble, the high frequencies.
That's production. That's production.
That's production.
That's
yeah,
production.
Exactly.
That's production.
Exactly. So, all right. I gave it. It's very difficult to. It's very difficult. It's very difficult not to give him a 10. I'm gonna be more conservative and give you a 9 on this. Okay. It's composition wise. To be honest, there's nothing to add, is there? Really, it keeps us. He's hit the spot.
Well, Klaus went a little bit further than just leitmotif. Did I pronounce it right? Leitmotif or leitmotif?
Light. I've
Leitmotif.
heard it is pronounced leitmotif. Yeah.
Okay. He went a little bit further because he quite often Klaus goes for a scene, musical challenge. He even explained this is the situation when he enters the Port Royal as the scene, and I'm not always agree with the show. And well, this is I'm going for this particular scene. You're going to represent leitmotif character. You need to come up with a musical character, not the
Yes.
scene.
Yes.
He did show the particularly that scene wonderfully,
Yes. That.
and
Yeah.
it shows the image, and he worked to show that specific scene. I can be a little bit disagreeing on that. In general, don't try to show me a scene. Try to show the character. But
Yes.
I still, since I'm judging composition at this point, I say
Yes.
10. That's
Yes.
my
Yes.
the idea.
Yes. Okay. So I gave him a 9. All right. Production.
Production, I actually gonna take 2 points off because it's over compressed. The compression is dominating. It actually caused the next. It's I already step ahead. I will downgrade the next step as well because that first of all production was ruined by that compression. Over compression is killing the sound of this composition. Klaus, you have to be more careful and learn a little bit more how to deal with the all the instrumentation out there for good production. So my point is 8. I take 2 points off.
Any tips on learning how? I mean, that comes down to mastering, doesn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. Any tips on that
Well,
to learn?
there was quite few conversation in the composition in the composers club regarding to this. I remember one of the ladies, Paul, had posts about it. But what I do, I I use existing templates and try them. I'm not going to the details about compression, how it works. I'm just choosing the templates that exist for composers. We don't even have to be super knowledgeable in the usage of compression limiters
Wow.
and such. But apply the existing templates and try them, listen to them. Do you feel that it's overwhelmed the sound? It's really the sound engineering and production is very close to go hand by hand, and I'm not going to go into details how compression
Yeah.
works,
Yeah.
but use the templates. It's the
Yeah.
simplest solution.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. 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 I mean, I did a course with a guy called Tim Tippett's on mastering, but mainly that's really for voice, which is a lot simpler because you've got it's one instrument basically, the voice. But yeah, but Tim does a good course and he teaches you basic mastering. It's not a cheap course, so there might be better courses out there for.
Oh, YouTube has plenty of courses that you
Yeah.
can free. You just go to
Yeah.
YouTube and search. The compression, main thing about compression, whatever, if you have unbalanced composition, you have some instrument louder than the others, which is normally it happens overall because your musical theme has to be a little bit louder. But what
Yeah.
compression does, it brings up the it's narrow everything, presses the high and low to the center,
Yeah.
and all everything that you had incorrectly, it's multiplying this. If your
Right.
balance is incorrect in general, it will multiplies to the point that it's unbearable to listen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I see, I hear you. I hear you. So, Klaus, I would have a go at recompressing it, remastering it, and then re-releasing it. I would love to hear that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interest.
I would actually could go with 10, but I can't because I was that's why I said I go step further. That overcompression and as result was lost of the balance. It kind of kept me wanted to stop listening. It was a little bit challenging to listen just because of the lack of production. Uh, uh, so uh, musically, interest could be up to 10 because he was very creative and changing. But I take 1 point off. I give him 9.
Yeah. The first thing I noticed was the fact that I had to put the volume down because of the compression, and it has such a powerful impact on every other rating when we do that. It does have knock-on effects. I'm going to give you an 8 out of 10, Klaus. Listen, it's just because it makes it hard for me to hear and enjoy the tune. It actually it was hurting my ears. I had to put the volume lower. So if you sort out the compression, it will increase your it will mean that listeners can pay more attention
Less
and
compression, more impression.
yeah, I love it. Less compression, more impression. You should have that as a bumper sticker, right? On your car. So he got 17 out of 20. So far he's got 19 out of 10, he's 20, 16 out of 20, and 17 out of 20. High marks, Klaus. Finally, character.
I give him 10. In character, I
Wow.
give him 10. He, in my opinion, the melody was the leitmotif was representing that mischievous, very tricker character. And he developed this into the piece. Yeah, he showed that character quite well.
So okay, so you could see Jack Sparrow in that.
Yeah.
I personally let me just hear again. That's what I hear.
Right, and it's awesome development. While he still has that leitmotif included in while he developed and shows that character. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, 10 out of 10. I gave him an 8 out of 10 for character. I think that I had to work harder at the reason I give that is because you set the scene, and you did 10 out of 10 for setting the scene, but setting the character. I find it difficult to associate that, like that melody with him, with Jack Sparrow. I do. It's a beautiful, oh my gosh, it's a beautiful melody, right? So we can't take that away from you. It's actually, no, he's done the job. He's got it. Yeah. He's just depicting a different side of him.
Well, I don't think this melody would I wouldn't consider this melody beautiful. It's actually kind of the beauty was not in this melody. He used the instrument. It's kind of trick. He tricked that. Well, tricketry is coming from that melody. He uses the instrument that would make beautiful melodies, but the melody itself was not beautiful. It's actually kind of.
Yeah. Let me hear that again. You're right. It's the woods, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm a sucker for woods.
The instrument itself, yes.
Yeah.
But look, if what Zimmerman start using, he using violins to show the character. Beautiful instrument for the great, but the sound, the melody itself is it's not beauty there. It's
you're
just,
right. If you take the same melody and put it in a different instrument,
As a matter of
Yeah,
fact, I used for duduk to introduce the melody in my composition. Also, it's very pretty, but the melody itself is not pretty. It's just you wanted to get the the melody kind of that way. It's without beauty, but at the same time not ugly, and it's a
sure.
mix.
Yeah,
So, and in my opinion, Klaus really did good job to find that kind of melody. It's like a little bit uh, strange.
yeah,
In some way, it's a little bit irritated, but same pretty. It's kind of mix, and it's great to have to represent the character that you wanted to picture.
yeah. Because it's going down, right? It's going. Do, 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 do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful.
Well
I
done.
like it. Yeah,
I
well
think it's
done.
good.
So let's tally up the scores. We have. Oh, ooh, we have a winner. Surprise, surprise. 70 out of 80. First spot goes to Klaus. In second position,
Well done.
we have Florent with 64 out of 80. In third position, and this is really tight because there's only 1 point in it. Third position, 57 out of 80. We have Claude Karen. And then Yako, only 1 point behind
Very
Claude.
close.
Yeah,
Very
56 out of 20. Yako, you got fourth spot. So listen, guys, thank you so much for taking part.
Thank you.
Like I said, unfortunately, there's been a change of decision in the management at Composer Club. They don't want to go with challenges here. They want to keep it free and open for people to publish their own music. So, Andre, I'm really glad that you've already you've set something up, and hopefully in the future, I'll be able to. The reason I was telling you, Andre, the reason I set this stuff up was because I wanted to make music for these films, and then it came. I learned that because I was organizing it, we didn't want anybody to assume that it was fixed. So
Well,
I wasn't able to make it.
here's the point that if we are to do the challenges, for example, in the group that I organize, we could have changed the way we judge this. One of the competitions in the Composers Club was when everyone's voting include all composers who participate. The only thing you cannot vote for yourself, you must vote for somebody else. It could be one of the solutions. We can come up with the idea that
Yes.
even you participate as organizer, you still will be judged by others. And so if everyone judging, you're just not allowed to judge yourself, but
Yeah.
others judging you, then you can end up being part of the participation and at the same time have fun in all competitions, all challenges.
And that's great because it doesn't take as much time, and we don't need to spend all the time on these videos and publishing them. And but what I would add to that, what I'd like to add to that, is I think there's great value in breaking it down into 4. So maybe you could have something like you guys rate if you're gonna participate in these challenges, then you're allowed to judge your other. You have to be a judge for every other person, but at the same time mark them out of 10 with composition, production, interest, and character. And that way, and if they have any questions, they can message you direct and say, "Hey, what do you think?" So the idea is to have composers improve, right? And how can they improve in their own time? Getting critique and feedback, and you don't mind it. you don't mind getting it if you're giving it as well. So at the moment, I'm just giving it. People probably hate me. But at least it'll, and the benefit, Andre, is at least then we can participate.
That's right.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So your Facebook group again is
Composer challenges. Yes, I will. I will
Yeah.
send in invitation to everyone who
Yes.
wants to participate.
Yeah.
We'll go from there. We'll see how.
Brilliant. And any plans? Is it monthly challenges or weekly, or how do you want to do it?
Well, first of all, the same way everyone who wants to who wants to create their own challenges are welcome. And as a matter of fact,
Okay.
I don't want it to be the one who's responsible. I created
Yeah.
this group not to be an administrator. No, I'm just
Sure.
one of people. I'll give the rights to anyone who wants to be creating a
Moderator.
challenge. I'll give
Yeah.
them the managing position to be able to do moderator position, administrator
Yeah.
position. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly.
as many as people willing to do that.
Sure.
You're welcome to be an administrator right from the spot,
Okay.
because you do great job. All this challenge was fantastic from very beginning. You started is like, wow, this is huge. Brian's dice
Yeah.
challenge,
I love those dice
outstanding challenge.
I know.
Same with the 30 seconds challenge. I love the challenge. It was
Yeah.
I'm not sure who was the one who started that challenge. It disappeared over time,
I think
but it was a great
Alex.
challenge as well.
Yeah.
What's that?
Alex, I think. Alex.
Yeah. Well,
Alex had the 30-second challenge.
variety of challenges, and
Yeah.
I actually do on my composition classes. I use variety of challenges, and with given students just few notes that they must use all of these notes to write melodies. They're limited by number of notes. They are not.
Wow.
They have no restrictions on harmonization, because this is one of the problems that people have. They don't know how to make challenge, how to create progression that is outside of the box, outside of tonality. You are limited with notes, but you have no limitation to chord progression speed rated. One of the challenges, I probably want to create my own challenge for that matter. The other challenges, whoever wants to create challenge, that's fine.
That's good. Good. Looking forward to it. Okay, well, that's it. That was the final movie club challenge in the Composer Club. Feel free to join Andre's group. I personally will be joining. So thank you guys for taking part. You've all done wonderful. And whoever wants to,
thank you, everyone.
Reach out to Andre. Thank you. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Cheers.
All right. Bye.